Hello everyone, welcome to my second devlog from my personal project that I'm creating. So moving on from last time where I created just the base foundations for everything, I now have I spent the last week and a bit making some very basic systems. So just to start off, I'll just quickly run through them. The first thing I made was just to start me off was to create a basic inventory system. There's nothing much to this. I just did it to get into the flow. Uh, so simply put, it is a simple. Right now, it will be expanded in the future, of course. But right now, it is just a simple dictionary with a key, an item count, and I've got general items and key items, and then the code to add to each one. That is it. I just made that to get into the flow of programming. So I made this into a actor component. That way I can place it on any actor in the future, and including the enemies. So I can have this handle enemy drops, things like that. Companion inventory if I want to go that far. I don't know if I'll go that far, but maybe so. At the very least, it's there for reoccurring use. Following that, I begun work on the a combat component, which there it is, to control the state of combat. So the premise for this game is that you will be able to be, when you are not in combat, you'll be freely walking throughout the world, and then when you get in combat, it will transfer into a turn-based kind of system, sort of like Wasteland 3, Fallout 2, Baldur's Gate as well, similar to that. It's just and this will use a kind of grid system, except yeah, a bit different. So yeah, so obviously I need a way to control the state of my combat. So again, I just made a simple combat manager combat component that will live on my game mode to control the flow. So this one actually, despite being barely any code, this one actually took me the longest amount of time to complete. The reason for this is, here it is. I originally had an enum system to control the state of the combat. So it'd be an enum like disengaged, engage, etc. That was it. And then I'll have a switch statement saying like, this is what happens on engage, this is what happens on disengage. The enum completely broke for some reason. So whenever I like called it in blueprints, or I made an interface as well, which I had the enum on. It just completely corrupted with every reload of the engine, and I spent about 2 days trying to figure that out, to absolutely no avail. I have like other things with enums on. Like I have an enum here. This worked perfectly fine. I did exactly copy and paste this method. I went back to old projects to look and copy and paste their method into making like a completely new enum in a H file. Did not want to work. It was corrupting with every darn thing. So I eventually gave up and made it so it's just based on an int. Current combat state 0, 1. And then setting that. So pretty much, if the int is 0, you are not in combat. If it is 1, you are in combat. So in the so I've got a where was it? Oh no, that was it. Yeah. Oh, there it is. Sorry, I created a simple function for it. So I can call this function from anywhere in my project. Of course, I can hook it up to interfaces in the future. What it does is exactly what's on the tin. You set the combat state from 0 to 1 or 1 to 0, and then it will go into C++, say, look, what's going on, or it's 0, combat is ended, it's 1, combat is beginning. And from then on, I have created simple delegates, event dispatchers to feedback into this, which is simply what happens on combat begin, what happens on combat end. And right now, on combat begin, it will only, for now, tell the player, hey look, combat has begun. And I've accomplished this with an interface. Where was it? Sorry, there it is. So this is an interface. It just tells the player, look, combat's begun, do your thing. Which, this is a bit of a mess because a lot of it is testing, I think. Ignore that, my phone. Where was it? Combat status. So here we go. So when this should all happen automatically when the game mode is called for combat. It'll say, look, if it's combat enabled, call this. If it's not, this is actually reset itself. That should be that one. Do this. So this is a C++ function to handle the combat. So because in Unreal, AI controllers and player controllers typically don't work well together, I've kind of devised a little sneaky way around this, and that is whenever the player goes into combat, this entity on screen you see now is hidden, and it spawns an AI version of this in the exact same location that will act as a dummy in like so. And then again, just for testing, this won't be free roam in the future, but this is what's going to happen. And of course the camera will be free roam as well, unhooked from the player until the combat ends. I haven't done that yet. But yeah, and then return to combat over here. There you go. Exact same spot and location it was in. Combat is over. Done. As you see. So that is what I devised. So looking at the code. So simply put, when the combat state is enabled, it tells the player is now in combat state. It sets. I create a function to control the locomotion, which is the movement enabled? Yes or no? Is the camera movement enabled? Yes or no? Of course, only this is doing anything right now, which does disable the player's movement and sets it hidden. This is going to be when I make the camera movement code. It's all over there. Next, after it disables the player effectively and shows the mouse cursor, it will use an async loading to spawn the AI component, and that's just to keep memory down. I don't need the AI controller, the AI dummy there every second, only when combat's happening. So this just spawns it asyncly in the exact same location and rotation of the player, and then finally sets the main actor to be hidden. And then if combat's over, does the exact opposite. Sets it all to be false, lets the movement resume, hides the mouse cursor, deletes the player AI dummy, and then sets the main player to be the exact same position, and then resumes the thing. So that's pretty much how I've done, how I've managed that. Of course, still a lot more tidying up to do, and then actually implementing the turn-based stuff. It's just the testing code, so I can test it. So I've done this little code as well. So to finish off, what I did is I made board pieces. So these are just a testing prototype of board pieces. So each one is an individual piece, which is basically a class. And so right now, just to test, I created an interface system to find out what would happen when I clicked on one, and I set up the code to be able to click on one. So as you can see, I am in the AI state. Of course, the character can't move to them right now, but as you can see, I can click on these. These are fully clickable. Let's just quickly. Where was it? Get player set show mouse cursor. Tick. Sorry if you can hear any background noise, by the way. My window was open and it is quite noisy out with cars outside. So there we go, I've got my mouse. So as you can see, all of these are clickable, and then in the future I can make them highlightable. So as you can see, the system is starting to take shape. So when it is the movement phase, or maybe I don't have a movement phase, maybe I just have a phase where you can choose what to do. I haven't decided fully yet. You'll be able to click on a spot and then spend action points to move to it. And then if I can make it, yeah. So this won't happen in game. These indicators are just testing. Like right now, they turn red when I move into them. That was just to make sure that the system kind of works with it. But what I want for these is kind of preemptive. No. Basically, it will show where a enemy's attacks is going to be. So like, this is kind of inspired by chess themes. One faction is going to be, the main faction, enemy faction is going to be heavily chess themed. So like, I might have a pawn. So the pawn is facing this way. He or she can only move one block at a time, etc. As pawns do in chess. Of course, it won't be directly copycatting chess. Because I want to make it a bit fresh, keep it interesting. But all the enemies and things will be inspired by that. So yeah, so this pawn might try, if the player's here, etc., they might try and do an attack which will light this up red, so I know, okay, look, an attack's coming. I do have gameplay kind of elements why the player can, sorry, I have lore elements why the player can see enemy attacks, but that's a future thing. So yeah, so the system is starting to take shape. So I am quite happy with the progress so far. Everything's been a bit unorganized, I guess, but I am enjoying programming with this, and I can't wait to get some art in here. Of course, that's a down the line problem. But yeah, of course. So this is starting to take shape. I'm very happy with it, and yeah, hopefully my next steps are to get first of all get the camera working so I can move the camera along, either by dragging or WSD keys, etc. So that's my next step, and then following that I will start to implement turn phases, so I can only move on this phase. Actually, sorry, I haven't decided whether I want to do turn phases yet. That's something for me to think about between videos. But yeah, things are starting to take shape much faster than they were. I might even start building an AI next time, just a simple basic AI. So we'll yeah, thank you. Oh, actually, sorry, I'll quickly show the code for the board pieces. So right now the player mouse cursor is hooked up with all the player controllers and stuff, so I have this on the player character. It might be a weird choice, but where is it? Combat click trigger. So I have a input system, sorry. Typical input system. I've got a combat click one, which is just left mouse button. So in the code, I've hooked it up to the left mouse button on started. It will do this, so it will get the player controller. It will check. Right now it's set to world dynamic. I might turn this into a custom object collision channel in the future, just for ease of access, because I typically right now only want the board pieces to be clickable. Again, future problem. So it will then use the player controller to do a cast to see what is underneath the mouse as I click, and then it will broadcast. So this will broadcast to another delegate I made on the player character. One piece clicked, and then here it is. No, sorry, that's not it. So it binds the event to onPiece clicked, which is set up to an interface. Notify piece clicked. No, notified board piece clicked. Did I? Oh, sorry. It's set up to an interface to a function. There we go. So it tells the system which actor was clicked on, and then that I could probably make that into. Yeah, I could easily refactor that into just a single thing. It then notifies the board piece. I've been clicked on. Do this, which right now is just badly setting materials, not dynamically. Again, testing. So that is that function. So of course I can say, look, in the future, look, I've been clicked on. It's the movement phase. Am I occupied? Of course, I've got an enum to handle the piece states. So, am I occupied? Is there an enemy or companion, or am I already on it? Is it enabled or disabled? Of course, I can do checks and say, look, if it's free, yeah, you can move. AI, move here. Done. Happy. So that's the purpose behind that code. So yeah, that's pretty much what I worked on. So it's a bit of a longer video. Things are definitely shaping forward in a good way. And thank you for watching.